Ever wonder how to make ancient strip twist wire? This video will give you some tips. So in my own studio practice, I've become interested in a variety of different ancient jewelry making techniques to the point where I've put together a rotating topics special class covering these techniques because they're not things that we teach in our regular curriculum in the metalsmithing and jewelry program at UNT. Coincidentally, while I've been investigating this, I came across this amazing book that just came out from Jack Ogden, and he has a background both in researching the historic aspects of it, but also in jewelry making. So he really takes an in-depth kind of maker's perspective on looking at these ancient pieces and trying to figure out what technologies and materials they had available and how they made them. So one thing that I kind of started off with and are going to have my students start off with, and I think is really interesting, is what he calls a strip twist wire, which is how they made wire before there were draw plates. So before you had the tool to reduce the diameter of wire by pulling it through that material. So how it was made, if you're not familiar, is metal was cast and then it was forged out into sheet. And at that point, then it was cut into strips and then held and twisted until it sort of curls around on itself and basically becomes kind of a helical tube. And then from there, they could roll it down further or forge it down and then use that as wire. But if you look at microscopic views of ancient wires, particularly like Etruscan gold and things like that, you'll see this kind of candy cane seam going through that strip twist wire. So I put together this video both to help my students out with how that's made and then also for anybody else interested. So here we go.
Okay, so for the purposes of this video, I've cast a pewter ingot in a wire ingot mold, and you can check out my other video on ingot casting for a refresher on that. And I chose pewter just because it doesn't work harden, and so the video would have less interruptions from taking time to anneal, pickle, clean, and dry, and everything like that. So I did test this whole process with cast bronze, cast sterling silver, and cast pewter. And obviously there's some differences between the different metals. But I found, and in my own work, have been working a lot with pewter and have just had some really great successes with that. So here you can see I'm just using a larger forging hammer. I'm not using the horn of the anvil because I just want to maintain really even thickness of the blank as I'm forging it out. I was using the cross peen to lengthen it and then using the table of the anvil there just to straighten things out. And like with pewter, you can get away with some of the different straightening processes. So here you see I've switched to just a planishing hammer, and now I'm working out to even up the initial forging, and like I said, just to even out and get a uniform material thickness. Ideally, you're shooting for something between 24 and 26 gauge. With pewter, I would recommend going a little bit heavier because what we're going to do is then cut it down to a strip about 3/16 of an inch wide and then twist it so that it becomes kind of a rolled tube, as you'll see. So again, here, just using the planishing hammer to even out that material thickness as evenly as possible. Okay, so in the cutaway, I have gone ahead and filed one side of the forged piece as straight as possible, and now I'm scribing the width of the strip that we want to make, which is 3/16 of an inch with my calipers there. And you'll notice that all my pewter tools I've painted purple just to keep them separate and prevent any cross-contamination with any other metals like sterling silver that can be adversely affected by the significantly different and lower melting temperature of pewter. So I'm just following that scribed line and trying to get as even and consistent a strip as possible. And just doing all these processes to just follow what tools were available to them at that particular historic period of time. And again, in the cutaway, I've filed the cut edge just so, again, it's as even and smooth as possible. And here I'm using 2 vice grips to consistently twist the strip. And since it is pewter and relatively thin, you'll notice while I'm doing this that some of the tightened ends might snap off, that you're going to lose a little bit of material and you're just going to have to reclamp it. But you want to try and get as smooth and consistent a twist as possible. There, I lost one of the ends there, so you just reclamp it and just keep going. And again, just try and maintain that even, smooth twist. And then what's going to happen is that twist is going to tighten up on itself, and it's going to basically become a tube as each loop of the twist closes in on itself. And you can see that starting to happen closer to the purple vice grips there. And then the rest of it, again, you don't want to over tighten and have any of the loops stack up over each other. And so you just want to, again, there's another little piece that breaks off, which that's going to be common if you're doing this with pewter. It didn't happen really with the silver or bronze, but there we're getting the nice consistent loops there, and that should be sort of finishing up this stage of the operation. Okay, in the cutaway, I removed some of the inconsistent twists there, and now I'm just working with a planishing hammer to just lightly forge this down, because again, it is pewter, and I'm just using the flat top of the anvil with that planishing hammer, and still that was plenty to successfully forge this down. Something that was really amazing about this is how well it forged down. So if you tried to do this kind of forging just with a regular seamless tube, it would just collapse in on itself. But because of this twisted seam running through the strip twist wire, it enabled itself to forge down quite nicely. And so there's a lot of exciting potential with that, and I definitely need to explore it more for myself. But you just, particularly if you are doing this with pewter, just don't get too aggressive with it. Work it evenly and consistently, and you'll find that it'll tighten that initial kind of twisted tube down into something that is pretty much going to function like wire. Technically, it's still a tube, but the proportion of the gap inside of it versus the wall thickness, it's really going to function like wire. So if you give this a go, definitely let me know and what you think of the whole process and how you're using it in your work. Good luck. If you enjoyed this video, please be sure to hit that subscribe button so that you can hear from me when I post future videos. Thanks for stopping by.